get too in-depth on it because of some of the proprietary secrets. But I saw some comments saying, this is nothing new.
I don't know, can we talk about these things?
I don't know what they did, if it was the process or this special type of foam that they found from the space.
I mean, it just catapults you forward. We can always cut this out if we can't talk about it, but everyone's saying this is great.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying it's a game changer, because it is. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy foam.
And then when you push in the rebound, it just explodes. This isn't hype.
Hello, runners in runner listener land. Welcome to Mr. Rubio Used to Run, the Running Warehouse podcast featuring my associate, my cohort, Connor Blaylock. I'm Joe. I'm the guy who used to run. And, it's the end of the year. We'll be discussing some of the stuff from 24 and some of the stuff coming up in 25. But first, let's talk about upcoming stuff. You have your race coming up this weekend. Your half marathon.
Yeah, we're going to dive right on into it. Yeah. By the time this podcast comes out, we will have known
what happened,
if the training for the past 6 months has paid off. But we're in the home stretch.
Right.
1 week out. I talked with you. At this point, the only thing that we can do is break ourselves, get sick, get hurt. So right now, it's just cruise control.
Yes.
Don't do anything that's crazy, that's out of the norm.
Right.
And I'm feeling fit. We had our last kind of big workout the last week.
Right.
What did you think?
I thought it went great.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't die, so that was good.
We didn't.
No. People actually look pretty good.
Yeah, and we felt out a little bit faster speeds. I feel like we've done a lot of work at race pace this season, not a whole lot under race pace, just because I'm getting back in the swing.
Yeah, it's too early for that.
Yeah. But it felt good. You know, getting close to that 5 flat pace for some longer repeats felt strong, and now we just see... can we hold?
Oh, I don't know. People are looking pretty good right now. I mean, a couple people in our group, Melissa ran, I want to say a 10-minute PR in the marathon at CIM last weekend, ran 2:49.
Yeah, so would you say everyone at CIM, every one of your athletes?
Yeah, ran pretty well. Yeah, but Melissa, I mean, she was, I want to say 3:12 when she joined up about 18 months ago. So it improved 23 minutes in 18 months. It's kind of a deal.
Yeah, how often do you see that big of an
improvement? You have someone with talent that isn't training optimally. It's pretty easy to get some improvement out of them. But, so that's all good. But
so we're coming into this race. We've trained 6 months. We've done a lot of work at that 5:30, 5:25 pace. Would you say the goal, or would you say like the smartest move going into this race, knowing it's a fast course, start off maybe a few seconds, maybe 5:35 pace for the first 10K and then work from there?
Yeah, I'd say 5:35, 5:40, actually, somewhere in that range.
Yep.
Because if it's downhill, as you said, right, it's way easy to go out way too hard and get to 10 miles and die a horrible death. You don't want that. You want to just have a good experience.
Right. And I'm sure it could be pretty easy to get down 5:20, 5:15 for the first 5-6 miles.
Now, if you could do that the last 5K, that'd be awesome. That'd be fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else beyond that? What are you doing for Christmas and New Year's?
No, we're just hanging with the family, getting ready for a busy 2025 because we're already talking about some big video projects that I think the fans are going to be excited. Potentially a trip up to Flagstaff to hang out with all of our friends.
Yeah, all of our various friends.
Bryce and Hobbs and the like. So, I think right now it's just planning for a lot of big projects in 25.
Right.
How about you?
Well, let's see. This coming up weekend while you're in San Diego, I'm going to be in Seattle for the Club Cross Country Nationals.
Okay.
Do a little visit with Brooks this weekend. And then after that for Christmas, probably not doing much anything. Maybe get an old teammate that just moved to town, so he wants to go golfing.
Okay.
He wants to go golfing like yesterday, and I'm going to be gone for like 2 weeks. So do some golfing and things like that. But beyond that, just I was going through my head on the different potential meets.
Yeah.
Two are pretty dialed in right now is the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. That's in February, and the following week is Melrose. And that's in New York, so do those. Looking at possibly the NCAA Outdoors, USA Outdoors, which is qualifying for the World Championships, possibly make the World Championships. What else was I thinking? Zurich, which is the Diamond League Finals,
So you're hitting everything.
Well, not everything, but those are the ones I'd like to do. But the ones for sure, the 2 indoor meets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll hit up Grand Slam this year? Is that in the cards?
No, but it doesn't mean it won't happen. I mean,
Okay.
possibly the one in LA.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty early, right?
I think so.
May?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. There's
perhaps.
a lot of good track. It's hard to keep up with all the amazing track that's going to be happening in 2025.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then, looking a little bit beyond that, in the fall, in September, is the World Road Championships in San Diego.
Yes.
And that's actually the weekend after the World Championships and track ends.
Right.
So it's like the end of September. And then the other thing that's interesting is World Cross Country Championships comes to Tallahassee, Florida, January 10th of 26.
Yeah.
And the thing that, because I was doing all the math in my head and going, when are you going to qualify for the meet? When's Club National's going to happen? All this stuff. And I emailed Tom Hunt, who's in charge of everything to do with cross country in the United States, and he actually said qualifying for the Worlds for the United States will take place in the middle of December. He didn't know where. And then the interesting thing is the day following the World Championships on January 11th is going to be the Club Cross Country Nationals on the same course as the World Championships.
Yeah.
So it's cool on a number of things. Is people that are running the Club Nationals will get a chance to run the World Championships course,
Yeah.
but also waste all their energy the day before yelling and screaming for everyone that's running. So
Right.
it'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think of those, the road championships excites me the most because, I mean, it's in our backyard down in San Diego, one of the best places to run, great weather, easy to get there. So I'm sure we'll be bringing a squad down there.
The race director down there is a guy who's been involved with road running in San Diego forever. So it's Tracy Sunderland, and he invented the Carlsbad 5K and rock and roll marathons and half marathons and all that stuff. So anything to do with road racing in San Diego.
He knows a little bit about it.
Well, he's your guy, right? Yes. If you want to spend an evening chatting about running, he's a good guy to do it with.
Okay.
But, it's that time of the year when people have New Year's resolutions and so forth.
That's right.
And one of the things that I wanted to bring up is some common mistakes that newbies make to try to avoid.
Yes.
And I got most of these from our staff in retail.
Yeah.
I haven't worked retail in a long time, but the number one area that people get wrong is they tend to buy shoes too small.
Yeah.
No one wants to come in thinking they wear a size 9 and leave with a size 10.
And I'd say you saw it from both genders, but you'd see it even more so on the women's side.
I have women I coach that will not order a wide women's shoe. They'll order the appropriate size in a men's because a men's a D width and a wide width and a women's is a D width. Huh. But they don't want to order a wide width shoe, so they get a men's. Anyway, so just get the shoe a little bit bigger than you think you need. Right. Because what happens is your feet swell. And if you're trying on shoes, end of the day is better than the beginning of the day. When your feet swell at the end of a run, they're going to be bigger. Right. And if your toes are right up against the end, you get those lovely black toenails.
Yep.
And those fall off, and that's really just gross.
It's not fun.
No, it's gross too.
And you also, I will say, especially with newer runners, they're used to maybe their casual shoes, their dress shoes, which tend to, I think my dress shoe, I wear 8, but I'm a 9 in running shoes. Yeah. So you got to get in.
I'm 9 dress shoes and 11 running shoes.
Yeah.
It's weird. But the other thing is people buying one pair of running shoes for multiple purposes. And by multiple purposes, it's like there are a lot of people playing pickleball in Bondis right now. And that's not what you want to do because Bondis were not designed to go laterally. Right. They're designed to go just forward. Mm-hmm. And so they're really unstable for that. Yep. And there are people that twist their ankles and so forth. So get a pair of running shoes and keep them for running. And if you want to get a pair of running shoes for doing a bunch of other stuff, that's fine. Right. But mixing them all in one shoe just really beats them up.
Totally. And one hack that I use a lot is when I'm getting close to retiring a pair of running shoes, they still have life left in them. I might clean them up. That's my walk around shoe. It's still a good shoe, but maybe just not for pounding out the miles. Then you get the new shoe for just running.
And the thing to do with those shoes is you put them in the washing machine with the stuff that doesn't matter, like your rugs and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you put it in there, and then you shove newspaper in there, and you let it dry. So it doesn't shrink.
Do not put them in the dryer.
Don't put them in the dryer. Don't do that. That's bad. But you can put them in the garage and put like I said, the newspaper in there 1 or 2 days. They're dry and they're fine.
Right.
So and they're clean.
Right.
Not that you need clean shoes, but generally
it's
nice. Exactly. The other thing that I notice a lot is people searching for the perfect running shoe.
The classic request.
It has to be perfect. It has to be perfect fit. perfect feel, perfect everything. And when you've been doing this for a long time, particularly when you're training at a high level and you're running 100, 120 miles a week and you're going through shoes in 6 weeks, you just realize it's just a tool to get the job done.
Right.
And if you can get a shoe that's 80, 85% good, that's good.
Yeah.
I've used this analogy in the office, and it's probably not appropriate. It's not HR appropriate or whatever, but it's like.
But we'll cast it to thousands
exactly.
of people.
It's like finding your soulmate. Well, that just doesn't exist. If you can get someone that checks 90% of the boxes, that's good.
Right.
The same thing with running shoes. You're not going to get 100% fit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's something about everyone that annoys you.
Totally.
It's just the way it is. And the same thing with running shoes. You're going to find something that's going to annoy you.
Yeah, and I'd say in that same, we always hear people say, I want the lightest shoe, the most durable shoe, the bounciest shoe. They want every single check mark. And at the end of the day, there's always going to be trade-offs. So you might have to get a couple shoes that each one can kind of fit a perfect spot, but you're never going to find that one shoe that can do it all.
No, it's kind of like getting an SUV, right? It does a lot of stuff okay. It doesn't do anything particularly great.
Right.
It just kind of, and so if you want something to do great, you get your sports car, you get your Ferrari, you get your pickup truck, you get your different vehicles for different things, right? Same thing here. Like if you really want to run fast, and every day, whatever, Glycerin Max is not what you want to use to run fast in.
Right.
Right. It's what you plot in.
Right.
So it's just getting the right shoe for the right purpose. The other thing that is not investing in items that come in direct contact with your skin.
Oh, that's huge.
Spend some money on some good socks and some good shorts and good bras. Just do it. Because if you're getting chafing, if you're getting blisters, if you're bleeding, it is not fun.
And as a newer runner, you don't necessarily know what you're missing. When you get a good pair of socks on, you get a good pair of shorts, and then you try to just use what you have, and then it's not until you actually make the switch, you're like, why did I go this long?
Right. And I remember I went to Brooks's, I think it was a 50th anniversary, and of course, I forgot my running shorts. So my wife went to, Target, because that was the only thing she could find. And she got me a pair of shorts, running shorts from Target. And that was the worst experience of my life. I mean, it was like sandpaper and they're crunchy and they hurt. Just put them on in the bathroom, just hurt. And you go, I'm not running in these things. I mean, they're horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't very expensive.
Took you back to your early days of running in jorts.
Yeah, I did do that. Cutoffs when I was younger. And also Puma Clydes, which are basketball shoes.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Everyone goes through that phase.
Everyone goes through that phase. And the last one I have on my list is style over comfort. So the color of the shoe, how they look, and so forth. And there are people in the building that will not. Comfort's way down their list. The shoe has to look great. And, I'm just going to say the number one way to stay healthy away from injuries is buying shoes you feel are most comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do.
And I will say that this is probably my number one most important, because I hear it the most from new runners. They maybe see a picture of Kipchoge wearing a Alpha Fly, or they see some celebrity wearing a cool casual running hybrid shoe, and they're looking on all looks.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're trying to run, we're trying to get better, we're trying to improve. The last thing you want to do is get hurt. The last thing you want to do is feel uncomfortable for 10 miles. So getting in a good pair of shoe that fits your foot, that feels comfortable, that works with your stride is going to be so much more important than looking good in the picture.
Most of the models right now, once you find a model that works, most of them have enough colors that you can find what you're looking for.
Totally.
Something close enough. So now, this being the end of 24, I want to take a look back on the year of 24 and just kind of go through some brands and some of the shoes that we really thought were very good.
Yeah.
The kind of shoes that we would spend our own money on.
And this is hard because there is so much good stuff in 2024.
Right. I mean, I just thought we'd just go down by brands.
Yeah.
And, just kind of throw some stuff out there. But we just start, Alphabet Adidas.
Yep.
I thought the Evo SL was fantastic.
And a late ad.
There's a late ad.
That just came out.
Yeah.
But wow, what a way to...
That thing is just awesome. I mean, the price, the weight, the foam, everything. And it looks great. It looks fast. It's a great shoe.
Yeah, so we got our first batch in December, really just right at the end of the year. They all sold out immediately. We can already tell that this is going to be one of the best selling and best feeling shoes of 24 and heading into 25. You're right. The foam is, I think, really what makes this shoe so special. It's versatile. It does everything that a lot of the super trainers have been doing, but at a lighter weight, bouncier,
and low price.
It's beating every other shoe from a value perspective.
Yep.
Sure, it's still a little bit more expensive in the grand scheme of things, but way cheaper than the competition.
Yeah, it's a great shoe. And then, the other one that is at the top of the list is the Evo.
Evo 1.
Yeah, Evo 1.
Yes.
I mean, just in terms of technology, weight, all that stuff. It just, it was pretty amazing when it came out this year.
It's a $500 shoe.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is not going to be a shoe for everyone.
Right.
It's not going to be a shoe for 99% of the people. But if you're looking for the craziest, the fastest, the lightest, the most innovative shoe on the market, the Evo 1 secured that spot
This year for 24.
24.
Right.
I will say, though, looking into 25, we'll get into that a little later, there's going to be some shoes that are coming after it.
Yeah.
But for right now, Adidas led the charge, and I didn't see this coming.
No.
Nike has been the dominating factor for years, and Adidas just snuck on in.
Adidas is, I mean, the Adios.
Yep.
I mean, Adios Pro.
Yep.
That's really nice. I mean, their whole fast line is just nice.
Yeah, the Pro 4, the Adios 9,
Yeah.
Adi Zero as a whole. It's always been
I know,
ASIC
but it's
or
really,
Adidas.
really sharp right now. It's really good.
It's really
and
good.
you were in the Adidas meeting at the running event, but their training shoes for the second half of the year look really good.
Yeah.
And so now the training shoes are catching up with the Adi Zero line.
Yeah.
So Adidas looks like they're in pretty good shape.
Definitely. I will also say Evo 1 is going to be my race shoe at the half marathon this weekend. Okay. It has been decided.
Yeah.
So, if you'd asked me a couple years ago, I would have said no way.
Yeah.
The Vaporfly was always my shoe, but
this is it.
This is it.
Okay. Let's move on to ASICS. ASICS just, I mean, they're crushing it right now.
Yes.
I mean, the Super Blast, the Nova Blast 5, is that what we're on now?
Yeah, that's what
I
we're
mean,
on.
that thing is great.
Yes.
It's great. The racing flats are dead on.
I say when you look at the full family,
Yeah.
the full line of models in the ASICS.
The Nimbus, the Kayano. The Kayano is really underrated as far as a stability shoe. I mean, it's just really unique.
Because stability's, I don't want to say it, but it's kind of dying.
Yeah.
And the Kayano is still a really relevant shoe. It feels good. It doesn't feel like your traditional stability.
Right.
It's a comfortable shoe. But yeah, if you look at the full line of ASICS, they've got almost every checkbox.
Almost everything checked off. And, if I'm going to, get on about anything, their high-end track spike.
Yes.
At $250 is a little bit out of control. It's a nice spike, but it's not.
Right.
When the competition is 140 and 150, it's a little overpriced. But that said, I mean, the rest of the line is just fantastic.
Yes.
Yes, it's really good.
Yeah, I agree. I also...
And even their trail shoes that are coming in 25 look really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we'll get into ASICS in a little bit on 25 because I think those few little boxes that they're missing are all going to be checked in 25. So that they might be the brand of 25, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Okay, who do we got next? Brooks. Brooks is, steady and true.
Yeah.
But they did come out with their Cybertruck, which is interesting. We'll go into this later, given that Josh Kerr has a Cybertruck. But the Glycerin Max.
Yes.
And what's interesting about the Glycerin Max is I had a pair put on my desk. And I go, what in the hell is this? And then I tried it on. Okay. So then I started running and I go, oh, this is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
And if I overlooked the price, I thought it was a really good shoe. And then I was at the running event. And Chris Hartner, who owns Naperville Running Company, he's pretty well regarded in the industry. He goes, we were just kind of talking. He says, what are you running these days? I said, the Glycerin Max. He goes, me too. And he goes, what do you think? I said, I like it a lot. He goes, I do too.
Yeah.
I said, just for, jogging and, there's some walking thrown in and things like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Very cushy, very, a little bit of spring to it.
Brooks has always nailed the Ghost.
Yeah.
The Adrenaline. The Glycerin has always been a good shoe. Yeah. But I think in the last couple of years, even though they've updated the midsole compound, it's been missing that max cushioning.
And it's a perfect shoe for that.
Yeah, everything is going higher. Every other shoe in that space is close to 40, and the Glycerin was just a little too low. Now with the Max, it's actually going higher than some of the other shoes. They innovated the foam. You don't hear innovation you don't think about that when you think Brooks, you think more traditional, but they're actually now and then heading into 25, pushing a little bit more. So I like that.
Yeah. And then we have Hoka.
Hoka.
Yes. Finally getting into the modern era with some updated foams. And probably the best example of that is the Mach 6, which is selling very well.
Yeah.
It's a great shoe.
Yeah.
It's pretty inexpensive, $140. Does a lot of things good.
Yeah.
It looks good. It's a good shoe.
Yeah, they finally got that supercritical foam.
Yeah. It's a blend.
It's a blend.
Yeah, but still, it's better than the old EVA, stamped EVA or whatever they used.
Right, and
previously.
I wouldn't say when you feel it, it doesn't necessarily feel like that super squishy
Right.
PEBA or anything. But whatever that blend compound is, it's fairly stable. It's fairly bouncy. It's really it makes for a really versatile shoe. And then of course you've got, if you want a little bit upgraded, you've got the Mach X too. That, I think they really nailed every part of that shoe except for the upper.
Yeah, the collar on is not good.
Yeah.
But if you can get around that, it's a good shoe.
Every one of our testers had issues with the upper, and usually that's a deal breaker. But everyone found a way, whether it was lacing, using some tape to mitigate that little hot spot on the heel. And once they did that, they loved the shoe. It's such a good shoe. So I think we'll see with the next version, that should all be figured out. But I would say don't necessarily hesitate away from that shoe because it is a really good option. But know going into it, you might need to do some tinkering.
Yeah, and the fact that that Hoka is updating the foam is really going to do wonders for like the Bondi. Because the Bondi 8 was really a miss, but the 9 looks right on track. And I go off of like Alec, the guy in charge of innovation for Deckers.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't run in the 8, but the 9 he's actually running in, and he's a big guy that has knee problems, and he's back running in the 9. So he says it's a great shoe.
Yeah, and the Bondi 8, it was one of our best-selling shoes.
Yeah.
So to say it was a miss is maybe a little far, but I think it's because it is such a staple. It is such a high volume.
It's a unicorn. I mean, people are going to buy it whether it's great or not.
Right, and that's where it's like, it is such a staple. Let's just make it a little bit more modern. Let's make it the shoe it deserves to be.
Right, and they did.
Yeah,
exactly. So the big one for me was really the Mach 6.
Yeah.
That was a really good shoe.
Agreed.
Exactly.
I think we also can't forget the Cielo X1.
Yeah.
That was a huge shoe that I didn't see coming. It ended up not being the shoe we thought it was going to be. We thought it was supposed to be that ultra elite marathon racer. A lot of athletes were talking about using it for the marathon trials.
But it was a super trainer.
It ended up being the trainer.
Yeah, and it was really good for that purpose. It was just being marketed the wrong way. In my opinion, it was being marketed the wrong way.
Right.
If they would have marketed it up against the Super Blast or the Prime Strong, I mean, it would have been, that makes sense.
And we've seen that a few times over the years of shoe companies coming out with a great shoe, but not really realizing what they have and what the end purpose is.
Well, it's, Nike naming the Pegasus Plus, right? What the hell is that? It's like, anyways, we'll go on to Nike down after New Balance. We get New Balance.
Okay, New Balance.
Yeah. New Balance, I mean, they're bringing it.
Yeah.
I mean, our number one shoe for the second half of the year, the Rebel 4. I mean, the thing is just, what else can you say? It's fantastic.
It's a home run year after year. And I think over the years, certain models, people have liked it for different reasons. And I think with version 4, they've really taken a lot of elements of the past couple versions. They throw in that PEBA blend, a little more stack. The Rebel is, I don't know if we call it a super trainer or not. It definitely has a lot of elements. But the thing that I like about it is there's no plate. There's no stabilizing element.
It's just a basically really good shoe.
Yeah, it's like a simple next generation trainer, lightweight trainer.
It was so popular that they are New Balance is, I think, quadrupling the number they're selling. They have a lot more colors, so lifestyle colors and so forth. But they're projecting that to be one of their franchise models, overtaking the 860 and 880.
Wow,
that's how much they're betting on the shoe, and the shoe's fantastic.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we see in our office, not to say anything negative about the 880 or 860, great shoes, but the people in our office, they're wearing Rebels.
Yeah, and we tend to be a little bit more fast forward thinking
right
on that. I mean, 880 and 860 are going to sell.
Yes.
Adrenaline's going to sell. The Ghost is going to sell. Those guys are going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to spend my money on those models, but I wouldn't spend my own money on Clifton's either. It's just like that's not my shoe.
Right.
Right. So
New Balance also has, of course, the newcomer to the year, the debut. Actually, one of my favorite, if not maybe the shoe that I put the most miles on in testing, and then over the past year, the Balos.
Yeah.
A great introduction that I don't think anyone, even at New Balance, saw how awesome and how big that shoe could be.
But they missed it. I mean, no one bought it. It's a great shoe, but no one bought it.
We did okay.
Yeah.
I think we could have done better, and I think part of it was I don't think there was enough talk about it.
I don't think New Balance even talked about it. They just kind of released it and said, okay, have at it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Everyone that I talked with who tried it on loved it.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes that's half the battle, is figuring out a way to get the shoe on people's feet realize.
And also to let them know what to expect, just like the CLOX, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you told people what it was accurately, then they could figure it out and go, yeah. But no one said what the Balos is.
Yeah.
No one still has told anyone what the Balos is.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Is it a super trainer? Is it a plush premium luxury shoe? Is it a fast shoe? It's not a fast shoe,
No.
but it is one of those shoes that I'm hoping it continues on and we can continue to tell that story. But a shoe I like, and another shoe in that space, a little bit different though, is the SC Trainer.
Yeah.
That's got the plate. It's got the super foam, the PIBA blend.
Right.
That shoe actually, I was just looking at the numbers, sold really well this year. It's always done decently, and it's changed a little bit, but I think the most recent version is definitely a solid contender.
Pretty good. Nike.
Okay, we're moving right on to Nike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the biggest surprise might have been the Fly.
Yeah, I had actually marked that as my biggest surprise of the year,
Yeah.
the biggest comeback story. Because when we look at Zoom Fly over the past few iterations,
It's just missed the mark. It's gotten heavy. It's, the foams weren't that good.
unless you look at version 1, when the Vaporfly first came out, the Zoom Fly 1 released side by side, that was the only Zoom Fly that I actually liked. I felt like it was a true training companion.
Yeah.
Everyone after that, it's missed. They had other shoes like the Tempo that was trying to also play in that space. They could never nail that true training companion for the super shoe. And now they've got the weight down, the bounce down, the geometry down. Is there room for improvement? Sure. But they're actually now relevant in that space.
Yeah, and it's surprising because it showed up, I want to say, an ounce lighter than the samples we saw like 6 months ago. Because we said 6 months ago it's way too heavy.
Yeah, we're like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, but this one's certainly working.
Yeah, and everyone that we've chatted with like it. It's a versatile shoe. It's another one of those somewhat do-it-all shoes, and it does excite me for what's to come from Nike. The one, say, if we're talking about that's the biggest surprise on the positive side, the biggest maybe surprise on didn't quite live up to the hype would, in my opinion, be the Pegasus Plus.
Yeah, and I think as a brand, and this isn't any secret, just the innovation hasn't been there.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why the last CEO was, they said he retired, but I think he was forced out. But anyways, it's just getting back to innovation and so forth. And you look at the racing flats and so forth, and I mean, Alpha Flight and Vaporfly, really good shoes, but they've been caught. And the stuff that we're seeing in 25 is they've been dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pegasus Plus, which took over unofficially for the Pegasus Turbo.
Yeah.
Pegasus Turbo was the first Nike trainer to feature Zoom X foam. It was a hit here when it first came out. I loved it. It was one of my favorite daily trainers. And I think there was a lot of hype. I think now, as the years go by, maybe we look back at the Pegasus Turbo as being a little bit better than it was because you always have that nostalgia.
Right.
But I think everyone thought we're going to see that next generation Turbo. This is going to be the shoe, full length, Zoom X, no plate. This is the shoe we're waiting for from Nike. And then it came out and the weight was okay. The on-foot feel was okay. Like, I don't want to say negative things about the shoe because it wasn't a bad shoe, but it didn't live up to the hype. And the biggest issue, and I think the biggest flaw, was the Zoom X foam. When you feel it, it appears, we don't have any scientific backing, that it's a TPEE, not a true PIBA compound. The touch test doesn't really live up to the hype, and the bounce, you don't get that bounce.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
But and then the naming structure is just all off right now.
Right.
It's like,
why would you get rid of the turbo?
I know, and you have these silos, and Plus is like the more cushioned version of each one of these models, right? That's coming down the pipe. So the Pegasus Plus now is a different shoe than the current Pegasus Plus, which is the Peg Turbo, whatever that, it's just confusing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, Nike really wasn't that relevant in the running space in 24.
Right.
But we have news for 25.
Do we?
When we get to there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, we've gone through most of the main brands.
We still have Saucony.
Ooh, how could we forget Saucony?
Yeah. I would say the emphasis for us is the Endorphin line.
I mean,
really good.
It's our bread and butter.
Yeah. For us, it's their bread and butter.
Okay.
They've done a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, and year after year, it continues to evolve. I wouldn't say, well, I will say on the race side this year with the Elite 2, it hasn't officially dropped in 2024. There were a lot of small little mini drops, but if you're a normal person, good luck getting that shoe. That will be coming in 2025, but just since it did officially release in 24, we can talk about it. That is the game changer.
Every influencer, usually some will say it's decent, and some people say it's great.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying this is great.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying it's a game changer because it is. I mean, this
isn't hype.
It's a crazy foam.
Yes.
It's super light, super soft, super. I mean, it just catapults you forward.
I'll even go further. We saw some comments in our Incredi-Run video where we debuted what this new foam is. And honestly, Saucony can't get too in-depth on it because of some of the proprietary secrets. But I saw some comments saying, we've seen TPEE foams before. This is nothing new. This is a complete, I don't know what they did, if it was the process or this special type of foam that they found from the space. When you feel it, it is softer than any foam I've ever felt. And then when you push in the rebound, it just explodes. It was my favorite shoe. The Evo 1 is the lightest shoe, but I think the Endorphin Elite 2 might be the most energy efficient shoe.
It's off the rails. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. You'd expect that from Nike.
Right.
But Saucony's, Saucony with their foams right now, they're just killing it.
Yeah, and then, so we've also got in 24 the Endorphin Speed, the Pro.
The Endorphin Trainer.
And, well, Endorphin Trainer will be 25.
25, okay.
But with the Pro and Speed at least, really solid updates. They just made further progression on where the shoe is. They didn't break anything, continue to tweak the geometries to better efficiencies. Saucony knows what they have. They're not trying to break anything, but it continues to just really sell well and perform well.
So on to, are we ready to go to 25? Are we missing anything?
I think one other brand that I'd like to give the shout out, just because, one, we're very close with.
Actually, there's two brands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first would be Puma.
Yeah, Puma. I mean, the rule breaker.
The rule breaker.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the shoe I think we were really excited to see, and it took a while in 24 to actually get them.
Yeah.
When we finally got them, what a wild shoe. One of the tallest stacks in the industry, multiple plates, unique geometries, just a wild shoe look. There's no laces to it.
Mm-hmm. The new one has laces.
The new one in 25 will have laces, but I think I like that shoe so much because Puma isn't afraid to do something so different and push the boundaries. The only thing that I thought was, is this shoe actually going to be able to perform? Is it going to feel good? Is it going to be able to feel comfortable? When you get it on foot, for how radical the shoe is,
it's nice.
It's really stable.
Yeah.
It's really bouncy. It's not going to be your fastest shoe. This isn't like a elite race day shoe, but it is a very efficient shoe that I think can work for a lot of ranges, from long runs to maybe some moderate tempos and even some daily training. So a cool shoe. And one other, the DV8.
You were going to DV8 Nitro.
DV8 Nitro 3.
Right, and I was going to go Fast R.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
two,
it's a really unique shoe. It's not as out there as the rule breaker, but it's still pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and DV8 Nitro. I think, the only knock on Puma right now for me is the models outside of the Rule Breaker and the Fast R all look really similar. So it's really difficult. It's like me looking at Ons. I can't really tell the difference.
Right.
And the fact that all the names are really close doesn't help me at all. So some unique, I understand everything about the DNA and a certain look, but you can have that certain look and have the shoes look unique enough that you go, there you have it.
Agreed.
Right. And I'd say the next brand that's doing, I would say it's the brand of the year just in terms of coming from nowhere to relevance in 1 year is Mizuno.
I will agree.
I mean, they just turned that whole ship around. I mean, it was Titanic. It was on the bottom of the ocean.
We did not see that coming.
No.
If there was one brand that I thought was maybe done, was Mizuno. And not only did they turn that ship around, but how quickly it went from 0 to 60. I think probably the Catalyst Rebellion Pro.
Yeah, Rebellion Pro. It's on the third one now.
And every single version, it goes from crazy to crazier to craziest. And Rebellion Pro 3 with the geometries, with the stack height, it's not going to be for everyone. It's definitely not a shoe that maybe some of your less efficient runners are going to wear, at least for a longer distance.
But it's a cool shoe.
Yeah, and everything about the geometries. They're not only excelling in foams, but they're also really using geometries to further propel you forward and use those geometries to get those efficiencies as you go through your stride. Yep. It won't work for every stride, but man, if it works, you feel that pop.
Well, and like the Neo Vista it's a fantastic shoe.
Yes.
It's not necessarily the fastest shoe out there, but it's a fun shoe to run in.
Yeah.
If you need something to get you out the door, that'll do it. But I mean, props to Mizuno. The stuff that we've seen for 25 looks pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah. So kudos to those guys.
Yeah.
But speaking of 25, what do we have in our minds in terms of stuff that we're really excited to see in 25?
Yeah, and I'll preface this by saying we are a little limited of how much we can say right now on 2025.
Yeah, like we can't say anything about any.
Unfortunately not.
No, so we're not going to even mention the brand. We can't. I mean, we can't say anything.
Yeah. But for the brands that we can talk about, we're going to go into it. And I think probably the brand we've posted the most 2025 first looks so far. A lot more to come in the next coming weeks and months, but it's Saucony. Saucony, we talked about the Elite 2. Yeah. The Triumph. We saw the 22 come out last year as quite a radical departure of where it was, and I think it had a lot of really good things about it, but I think there were some misses that a lot of fans of the series called out, and for good reason. Yeah. It gained weight.
Yeah.
And now, 23, it lost, I think, an ounce and a half. It's going to be in that 9.3, 9.5 ounce range.
Which is pretty amazing for a shoe like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Saucony, we're seeing some stuff with the Hurricane, similar with pushing with foams and geometries, and still making a really cool stability shoe.
Yeah. I have a new Ride, I think, in my office, which is really light.
Yeah.
Incredibly light.
Yeah.
And it's a good looking shoe too.
And the Ride, they've made really good progress. Almost where the Triumph as that luxury premium shoe used to be. Yeah. The Ride now has a lot of the same technologies. So.
Yeah, overall the brand looks really good, but particularly on the fast stuff. And I don't want to belabor it, but the Elite 2 is lights out. That's going to be up there for the shoe of 2025. It is really good.
And we'll have some special news to come in the coming months on some unique opportunities Running Warehouse will have with the Elite. But all I say is I know everyone hears about the hype of the super shoes, the new shoe, you got to get it. I agree. Sometimes we can get caught up in the hype, but this is one
you want to be on that wagon.
You want to be on early because I'm sure they're going to sell out.
Yeah, it's a great shoe.
Okay, where are we going next?
Adidas. I mean, Adidas is looking fantastic for 25.
Yeah,
really good, and even their training shoes. I mean, their training shoes are actually getting on par with their racing stuff, which is kind of scary. No, they have some of their training shoes that I can't really talk about, but are really. They look fantastic.
Right. And in 24, we saw, anything from the Boston to the SL to...
Yeah, the Evo SL is great.
Yeah. Prime X. All of those shoes will be getting updates in 25, and it's taking a great shoe and just continue. Like I really wasn't expecting some of these shoes to get updates and be noticeable. They're all getting really, really solid updates.
And they have a training shoe that's going to be nearly as impactful as the Evo 1 on the racing thing for training.
Wow. I don't even know if I've seen this one yet.
No, you haven't seen it. I saw it at the running event. It is good.
Okay.
It is really good.
And is that a 25 shoe or is that 26?
I believe it's a, well, when we say fall 25, that means it comes out in the summer.
Okay.
Okay, that's weird. And then if you say spring, that means it can go anywhere from October, November through January, February. So it's something like that. But that's the timelines that we're talking about.
Right.
But Adidas overall, they look great for 25.
Yeah.
Particularly even in their spikes. I mean, we don't talk a lot about spikes, but the spikes look really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Asics, can't necessarily talk about it, but
I really wish we could.
I mean, from top to bottom, they are lights out, strong in every single stinking category. Everyone, in many cases, they're market leaders.
And there's even some new categories that I didn't even know were possible.
But on the racing flat, it's fantastic. On the training shoe, the Super Trainer, it's fantastic. And even
when you say super trainer, I would even go further to say super trainers.
Yeah,
because there's all these new types, and I would even say, do you need all these shoes? Maybe not, but I'm excited for it because it's giving people so many options.
And I don't know. We can always cut this out if we can't talk about it, but. The 2000. So when we saw the Asics lineup, they saved the 2000 for last after all this fantastic fast stuff. Mm-hmm. And I go, what in the hell are you guys doing? What are you doing this for? Why are you showing us the 2000 as your showstopper?
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. Think of a Nova Blast, a stability version of the Nova Blast, and that's the upcoming 2000. It is great.
Yeah.
It is great. Like great.
Who would have thought we were going to be hyping up a 2000?
No, I definitely didn't. But much along the same lines as when the Kayano became the Kayano Light, and Nimbus became the Nimbus Light, and then the lights went away, and it just became it's a modern interpretation of what the shoe is.
Right.
And the upcoming 2000 for fall of 25 is that. It's so good. Yeah. I can't describe it other than it's going to be super fun to run in with some great colors. And it's going to be a stability shoe.
Yep. I'll just call it right now. Asics, I think, is going to be the brand of the year 25. We could, there's always additions that could get added in late.
They're killing it. They're killing it. I mean, prices, style, models, everything. And they're firing on all cylinders.
In the race side, I think, is what's going to surprise people maybe even the most from Asics.
Yeah. So. And even the trail shoes. I mean,
we don't really talk about trail with Asics that much. They've always done good shoes.
But they put some emphasis on there, so they're firing at all cylinders right now. And it's not like they have a crappy brand name. It's like Asics. When you think of Asics, and much like Mizuno, when you think of that, you think of quality stuff.
Right. And
that's what they have. They're really tech forward and quality product. So on the Brooks side, I don't know. Can we talk about these things?
We can. We just put out a video. We talked with Nick Hill from Brooks. He's really we've been working closely with Nick Hill over the last couple of years and really telling them you got to push forward in the foams. You got to get that super shoe to a place where it's competing with everything else that's really good on the market. And the newest shoe that they have, the new Hyperion Elite 5. I mean, it looks great. They got it's called DNA Gold. It's a PEBA-based foam. They're doing some cool things with cutouts, and from what I can explain, it's almost like a spring-like contraption that's in the shoe that pushes pieces of foam together.
And then catapults it, basically.
And catapults. So I think over the last couple of years, I've never really been able to recommend a Brooks Super shoe as being on par with maybe a Nike Vaporfly or some of the other top contenders. I think Brooks is back in the picture, and they have a really solid option, and it's been proven. It's already doing really well. We're seeing CJ Albertson just crush marathon after marathon this year.
Yeah, he does marathon every week, so he just ran 210 at CIM.
Yeah, so it's working for him.
It's working, yeah.
And there's some other good shoes. I'd say the whole Hyperion line is getting a nice little update. from training to performance. So I think Brooks, while we haven't really talked about them with innovation, they are pushing forward, and it's a nice little surprise for 25.
I'm up there, next couple days up at Brooks headquarters, check out their new building and so forth. So I will have more to report back.
Okay.
If I'm able to.
Okay, good.
When I get back. But New Balance, can't really talk about anything, but New Rebel and Elite seem like.
Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah.
We haven't really got much info on them. We can't share much info, but they are coming. What we can share would be
Graham Blank signed with them.
Graham Blanks did sign with them. So yeah, I'd say I'm trying to think if there was anything that was exciting. Well, new More.
Right.
There's a new More.
New More and the new Spikes.
New Spikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They look fantastic.
Yeah.
They really do.
The More has always been my shoe, especially V4. I say it over and over. That was my favorite shoe. V5 was different. I think it worked a lot better for other people. Maybe wasn't quite as dialed in for my gait and my needs, but I think the new one will take some learnings of both, and I think V6 will actually bring me back to the More series. So yeah, should be good.
They got some good stuff. Let's see. Nike? Well, the amazing thing about Nike is I don't know what we can talk about.
So two that we can specifically talk about: Pegasus Premium, their new trainer with full length air, and the new Vomero, the Vomero.
Yeah.
Vomero.
Yeah, and the Vomero or whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know if we can even talk about.
Okay.
We'll bleep it if we can.
Okay, but I mean, from what we tried on, super plush. Prices came down.
Yep.
Super comfortable. Great looking shoes. Nike's back in that space.
Yeah. And we're saying all these terms like premium and plus, and they have their silos. So now you've got your Pegasus silo, your Vomero silo. There's all these families that are going up and down in performance and comfort. And it makes a little bit more sense now. And there's more options. We had no options in the training department from Nike for the longest time.
And now we do. Yeah. And they're getting rid of some models and combining them. And, we always thought the Invincible should have been, the modern Vomero. And that's basically what it's become.
Yeah.
But, I mean, really nice updates. So Nike's back in that space. Is Streakfly 2?
Streakfly 2. We can talk about that because we've been seeing it on the athletes. Pictures.
Don't you have one by your desk?
We have one by our desk. We'll have a first look once we get the final approval to give all the info. It's a cool shoe.
And for those cross-country runners in cross-country land in California, it has a bit of a waffle outsole.
Yes.
So it, in terms of California high school cross-country,
it might be the perfect shoe.
It looks fantastic for that purpose.
It reminds me a little bit of a modern take of, you remember back from probably 2009 through 2017, before Vaporfly came out, every California kid was wearing the Streaks because it was simple, it was light, and it had the waffle outsole.
Yeah.
This shoe has the waffle outsole, carbon plate.
It looks just like the Streaks outsole.
But it's got the true Peebo foam.
Right. It looks like a modern Streak.
The last Streakfly, I think in concept, it was cool.
But in reality.
And I don't believe, we don't have any scientific proof again, but I don't believe that was the true Peebo foam just from a touch test.
Yeah, but this one looks,
touch test.
The foam
is
super light. It looks fantastic.
Yeah,
it looks really, really good. A brand that we've talked about in the past that doesn't get a lot of talking, and we probably won't sell a whole lot of them, but they have fantastic trail shoes, is North Face.
Yeah,
the North Face. I mean, the Endurance 4. Is great. I have a pair of golf in. No, I run it too, but it is a fantastic shoe.
And historically, yes, we haven't sold maybe huge volume of North Face, but I think when we look at 25, I wouldn't be surprised if we doubled or tripled our numbers just because of how good they are in terms of performance, feel. You've got the Vective Pro and the Vective Pro and Sky that are really pushing in that race space. And then you've got the Endurance and the Infinite that are going to be a little bit more in the training space. But yeah, every one of those shoes, if you're looking for a specific race, a specific environment, a specific trail, you will find a shoe that can nail any type of trail run, and they're pushing the boundaries. It's better than almost every other.
One of the shoes that we didn't mention was the Adidas trail shoe, what is it,
yes,
Speed Ultra?
The Speed Ultra.
I mean, that was great. And now North Face has some stuff that will go up against that.
Yes. And I would even say, as good as that Speed Ultra was, it was very niche in terms of very narrow net bases, a very elite-driven shoe. I think the North Face, not that it's not going to be used by elites, because it's really performance-focused,
right,
but I think it's going to work for a much wider range of runners.
Yeah, well, when I was at UTMB, those guys that were with me own an outdoor store, and they actually hiked the whole UTMB course beforehand. Mm-hmm. They did it over the course of 3 days, and out of the box, they wore the Endurance 4, all three of them.
Wow.
And they just raved about it. Yeah. So when you take something right out of the box and you go on a 3-day hike over the UTMB course and come back with glowing reviews, it's a really good shoe.
Right.
Really good.
Right.
So,
are there any other brands you want to talk about, or do we dive in?
Mizuno still.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some great stuff.
Yeah.
It's
the mystery shoe. We have it on our site. I guess it's technically a 2024 shoe, but I won't classify. I'll classify it as 25 just because we still haven't released the name yet.
No, we don't even know the name. Do we?
I know the name.
Well, I don't know the name.
And it's a shoe that actually, you know what? By the time this podcast comes out, we'll know the name.
Yeah.
It's the Mizuno Neo Zen.
Oh, that's Neo Zen. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I know.
So it's got the really nice foam,
right,
no plate, a little bit less stacked than the Vista.
Polka dots.
Polka dots. Yeah. It's going to be a really good training partner for if you want the non-plated Vista, something. I find it a little bit faster than the Vista, a little bit more versatile than the Vista.
The Vista isn't a fast shoe. No, but it's a good shoe for running.
Yes.
But the Zen is fast.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's like super fast.
No, but it's faster than the Neo Vista.
And I would compare it to the Nova Blast.
Yes.
It's a very versatile shoe. But
it's going to tilt more towards comfort than speed.
Exactly. It has the weight and everything has the ability to pick it up if you need to use it. I used it for K's, a little 8x K workout when we were in Austin, Texas. It did the job. It's a shoe that you could probably put it on any day, not knowing the run, and it'll work.
Yeah, it's a good shoe.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think we nailed all the big ones.
Right, the ones that we can talk about.
Right.
I mean, there's some really exciting stuff that they'll just chop our hands off if we talk about it. So, I don't know why you wouldn't want to talk about it to get people in listener land excited about it. And
you would think.
And get it on their radar, but, whatever.
Yeah. And we do have videos of most of this. We saw a lot of sneak peeks at the running event. So those videos will continue to trickle on over the next couple months. But on the theme of best of, I think we got to go into a couple more topics.
Okay.
And I'll start off with the best race of 2024. What a big year.
Yes.
You lead. You want me to lead?
Yeah,
okay.
You lead.
So the Olympics was one of my favorite Olympics over the last couple cycles. I mean, just what America did. I mean, USA is back, not just on sprints, but on the distance side as well. And my race, my top, the most exciting would be Grant Fisher in the 10K. I mean, we had Cheptegei won. Cheptegei took the win. He ran a bold race. He ran well. But everyone in that race just stepped up to another level. In the past, if you were a sub-27 guy, you were basically guaranteed a medal. And that race, like nearly everyone person was at that level.
It was that was a great race.
And then we saw Grant get that medal. We saw Nico Young run a phenomenal race and really prove that he's going to be a contender in the years to come. And just from pure excitement, we were all here watching that race in the office. Yep. It got so loud and the yelling was so crazy that I think a lot of the people that weren't following the sport of, our tennis warehouse friends were confused.
But then when they started watching it, they get pretty excited about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because most of the people in the building are sports fans.
Right.
They're not, I just watch tennis. No, I watch sports.
Yeah. I will just say one more thing about that race. The most exciting part about that race was 800 meters to go when all the chaos started happening and we started to realize that this was going to be the race that everyone's going to talk about, our TV lost power in our office. So our entire office ran across to the next room, and we made it just in time for the Final Four. It was excitement. It was adrenaline pumping, and I'll take that as my top race of the year.
I have two, actually.
Two?
Yes.
Okay.
One was the men's 1500 final.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, I
pick.
mean, it was just, it had everything.
Yeah.
The fact that we had 3 Americans in the top 5.
Yeah.
And the only people to, break them up was an Olympic champion and a world champion. And both those guys that were favored, neither one of them won.
Can you talk a little bit about the hype between...
It was... Everyone knows. It was just, a lot of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And Cole Hawker and everyone else took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Naguse would get a bronze medal, and freaking Hobbs got 5th. I mean, no one talks about the fact that we won 3-5 in the Olympic final.
Yeah.
That's never happened.
Everyone was so busy talking about Kerr and Jakob that Cole Hawker was just...
Well, and he stopped with like 120 to go, and he still won the stupid race.
Yeah.
You don't want him anywhere near you.
No.
At the end.
We knew how deadly his kick was looking at the trials.
Yeah.
And he'll be someone that no one will count out moving forward.
And what doesn't make any sense to me is the lack of interest in our pros, distance runners, in cross country.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cole Hawker runs cross country.
Yep.
He won Club Nationals a couple years ago. And, he won the gold medal. And Ingebrigtsen just won another European title in cross country.
Yeah.
And, by the way, and Cheptegei, he runs cross. All these people that run cross country tend to do pretty well at the world level.
Right.
I mean, you don't have that many opportunities to race against these people, and I'm guessing that not many Americans are going to run in Tallahassee, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a chance to run against the best guys in the world or get women in the world, do it.
Yeah.
But the other race that I thought was fantastic was the women's marathon in the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
That was crazy. Hassan and I would just. With a mile to go, there's 5 women. It was crazy.
I know. I agree. I mean that race.
The men's was a blowout. The women's was a race.
And how fast? I mean, on both genders, both men and women have been bringing these times down. But how strong the women are running in 2024?
Yeah,
I never thought we would see.
209 is pretty.
I never would have thought that.
Even in American Collegiate, I mean, just this past weekend, Nathan Strand and what they were in 7:30.
Yeah.
And then Graham Blanks, he broke 13.
I think we're going to see a lot of records.
There's a lot of stuff going down
in the next year.
Yeah, people are running fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's great to see. Really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll round out our best of with the one I'm most excited about, the best newcomer to the sport.
Yeah.
Would you like me to lead this one off?
Yes, do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the biggest name, my favorite name, just the most beautiful stride in my opinion, has got to be the newcomer from Australia, Gout Gout.
That guy is.
And what a name. Gout Gout.
He just ran 10:04 and 20:05.
I mean, he's a 16-year-old.
So now you got Quincy Wilson at the 400. You got this guy at the 100 and 200. And they're 16.
Look, Gout Gout.
Yeah.
Gout Gout is coming for heads. I think he's coming after Noah Lyles.
Those people in listener land, if you haven't seen this guy run, do it. He's amazing.
His stride, it's bouncy. It almost seems like he's bouncing along, but the turnover is so fast. It's unlike any other stride I've seen. It's fun, and how can you not be excited yelling for Gout Gout?
I know, and everyone just remembers his name.
You're not going to forget it.
There's a couple things off the internet I thought we'd address.
Okay.
First from Let's Run. What is it? A Real Running Boy, BOI. I don't know what that means.
That means boy.
Yeah, boy. Okay, boy. Talking about BYU men at the NCAA championships in cross country had olive oil on their arms and legs. Now, people, can't believe that. And back in my day, that's what we did. We put things like Vaseline or olive oil or stuff like that.
Yeah.
The problem is it didn't work that well.
Okay.
Because the people I know that have done it in really cold weather, they still ended up with hypothermia in the emergency room.
Really?
Yeah, one guy ended up with a catheter.
Oh my God.
That was just But
don't need to go into
no,
that.
it's just. But there's nothing that's going to help you. I mean, Leo and I ran Club Cross in Portland in the 90s. I think Bob Kennedy won at Blue Lake, and it was so cold that Leo was stumbling in the finish chute, and I was trying to help him. His contacts froze to his eyes.
Oh my gosh.
And then we got done, and they had these heating things, and everyone got naked and stood underneath the heating things because our clothes were so freaking cold.
Right.
But I mean, I understand where this, but it's an old wives' tale. I don't think it really helps a whole lot.
Yeah, I think there could be small benefits, especially when it's not super, super cold. It's just like a barrier. But I'll say I also dealt with this because I was just in Wisconsin right after you.
Yeah.
I was in town visiting some family, and we ran a turkey trot, a 5 mile.
And
it was
froze, right?
It was 25 degrees. I've never ran in that cold, especially race.
Right.
So I didn't know what to expect. And my brother-in-law says, let's try the olive oil. That's what everyone's doing. I said, I don't think that's going to be on the cards today. But I did wear I wore some arm sleeves. I went for a standard shirt. I actually started my warm-up just completely covered in like the most warm, cold weather I could find, cold weather gear. And right maybe a couple minutes before I shed everything, I did okay. It was only 25, but my mistake, I thought I can get through 30 minutes. I'm warm. I can wear split shorts. Do not do that because it cut so hard. And I finished that race, and I was so cold. And it's funny because everyone, I came in 4th place that day. The 3 guys in front of me all they're stopped, they're talking. I just ran through the finish line, and I kept running. I got another few miles in until I could find my clothes because I was so cold that I'm like, I can't stop. If I stop, I'm done.
So we ran Cal International one year. It might have been 90. I forgot what year it was, but it was cold, and it was raining. And we were staying at my friend Rob Grove's house, and my old roommate Jerry Hernandez ran, and a good friend of mine, Jim McCarthy, who the idiot who got me lost in Wisconsin at the Division I. Anyway, so we get done, we get ready to take a shower, and Jim starts screaming in the shower because he's got frostbite on a certain portion of his body that was just painful.
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. Did you have that?
No comment.
Okay, we won't go there. So, let's see. Frequency of retiring shoes. This is also from...
What a transition.
Yeah, transition. C. Bloom on Let's Run. Quote, "It's been a few years since one of these was posted. I'm curious how much, if at all, views have changed in a super trainer world with more PIBA, TPU, and less EVA foam. For myself, I just hit 410 miles per Strava in my daily trainers. Was thinking about pushing to 500, my standard, and noticed that my knees have been a bit sore after a couple of runs this week. I'll grab a new pair and see how much difference there is. If there's a big change, I'll chuck them a bit earlier than normal." So my thing is, there was a time where I wrote the date that I started running in shoes on the heel, and that would be my guide. But then I got to the point where once I could feel my Achilles, it was time for the shoes to go. I never recorded the mileage because my Achilles,
it was that little indicator.
It was just a little twinge. You go, okay, these are done.
Yep.
And like this gentleman is saying is, my knees are starting to ache. Yeah, get rid of them. I don't care what the mileage is. The shoes are no bueno. Put them in the washing machine, wash them, walk around in them. That's fine. Yeah. But stop running in them. So
I'll agree. I think some runners more than others like to really push their shoes as far as they can. And this guy running 410 miles, that's pushing the shoe. EVA in general did not last very long. Some people could get 300, 400 miles out of EVA, but I'd say after 150, 200 miles,
maybe 200,
EVA is really degraded.
Yeah.
The new PIBA foams, TPUs, TPEEs, we're seeing definitely room for durability improvements. And if anything, you're getting that magic feel that is way better than the EVAs. So I think we're seeing foams maybe get a little bit better in durability, but even with how good the foams are getting, 400 miles, I don't care what shoe it's at, what shoe you're talking about.
That's a lot.
That's pushing it. Yeah. I would very rarely go over 400 in any pair of shoes. 500, unless you really love the shoes and you're not getting injured, I would say you never should go 500.
And it's also the type of running you're doing. I mean, like my running, it's like 4 days a week at like 30 minutes.
Right.
Like, who cares?
Right.
I mean, I probably got 1,000 miles on my shoes. I don't know.
Yeah. In your case too, and I have a lot of friends that have quit the competitive running, and they're doing that. They're running once or twice a week. I'd say really focus more on length of time you've had the shoes. If you've had a pair of shoes for 6-7 months,
time to switch.
It might be time, even if you don't have crazy
crunchy
mileage. Yes.
Yes, and they actually new shoes feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
you don't notice it until you get them on. You think your shoes are fine.
Yeah.
And then you compare. You're like, what was I doing?
So you put this thing in here.
Yes.
This Josh Kerr Cybertruck versus Ingebrigtsen's Ferrari.
I figured this would be a good way to end the show because we talked about Jakob getting he got a Ferrari, a 1989 Ferrari 348 GTB.
Right.
And he got special approval from like the government to modify it. I don't know, something crazy.
Something crazy. And for those that don't know what that is, it is not quite what Magnum PI drove, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a traditional, triangular shape Ferrari.
It's a cool car.
It's a cool car that costs $5,000 to get a tune-up in. And then Kerr has this Cybertruck, and
so this is a new acquisition from Josh Kerr.
Yeah.
And I think both cars actually do a pretty good job of representing each person.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. It's like dogs, right? They look like their owners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cars tend to represent what someone's personality.
Yeah. The Cybertruck is a car that you are going to be seen in.
Yes.
Everyone's going to be looking at you. It's a statement piece, and
it's ridiculous. I mean, I have a Tesla and I charge it, and whenever Cybertruck shows up, it can't fit in the freaking thing because it's too big.
It's a big boy, and Kerr is a big boy.
He's a big boy. Yeah.
He's definitely a little bit stronger looking than some of his competitors on the starting line. And then Jakob, the 348, a tuned. I mean, that's performance. That's a track car. I think Kerr, if they were to line up side by side, not on the track, but on the racetrack, Kerr would probably win.
No, he would definitely win.
In a straight line.
Electric vehicles are way outperform gas-powered vehicles.
Right.
But
the tuned Ferrari on a real tight track, who knows?
Might do it. Yeah.
I'd like to see it happen. Who do you think's the better driver of the two?
I would probably say Ingebrigtsen, just because if you have a Ferrari, you probably should know how to drive it.
You're right.
Right. Cybertruck, anybody.
It does the work for you.
You're not looking to drive that thing incredibly fast. You're just kind of driving.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I doubt it'll ever have cement or anything like that in the back of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see it. We're seeing this big Kerr Ingebrigtsen face off on the track, but I think the fans would like to see them race cars. I think that could be a nice little
segue.
We could maybe make that happen in Monaco after Diamond League.
Exactly. So I want to close out by wishing everyone a very happy New Year.
Yep.
And Merry Christmas.
Yep.
And all those types of things.
Yeah.
And happy holidays and all those kinds of things.
Do you have any New Year's goals that are we going to see Mr. Rubio used to run maybe start running a little more?
No, probably just more golf.
Okay.
Something like that. But I sincerely hope everyone has a really good running year in 2025 and beyond.
Oh, yeah.
And we said this several times, but the stuff that's coming in 25 is just really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that we can't talk about is just, you can just shake your head.
Yeah.
And the stuff that we have right now is fantastic, but it's not as good as the stuff we're going to see in 25.
Agreed.
So, and before I forget, what do we have to have the people do?
Well, you got to like.
You got to comment.
And, of course, you got to subscribe.
You got it. There you have it. Well, bye-bye 2024. Hello 2025. And anyways, peace out. Thank you very much.